lived and worked in Silicon Valley, which is one of the epicenters of the modern tech revolution. Companies in Silicon Valley, a tiny region in the US, are worth $3 trillion, which is larger than the entire size of India's GDP. Well, the official GDP anyway. About 3 years ago, I went to Google's headquarters in Mountain View, California, to hear a talk by a famous technologist. It was a nice, warm, sunny day, and he started the presentation with this quote. That's right. He said, "You will lose your job in the next 5 years." What? I thought to myself. I will lose my job? But I work in technology during the biggest boom, and I work on some incredible cutting-edge stuff that really helps people. Moreover, I eat my almonds, I drink my smoothies, and I even go to yoga like my mom asks. So why would that happen to me? But then again, earlier this year, I lost my job during COVID, and along with it, my US visa. At first, I took this as a personal failure. I thought, this must be one of those many things that I failed at, like not topping my board exams or getting into the best college. Many years ago, I even tried to start a company of my own. It was called Ganda, and I wanted to sell, wait for it, onion jam. That's right. If you don't believe me, here's a picture of me cutting onions. I only sold 2 bottles of it, and both were to my parents. In my boxing career, yeah, that ended even before it started. So when I lost my job, I really thought this was on me. It was my failure. It was my fumble. But then I looked around, and I realized I wasn't the only one. This year, over 240 million people have lost their jobs, and over half of them are still unemployed. And the biggest hit? Well, that went to young people under the age of 30. So there's a good chance that you or somebody you closely know who was impacted by COVID-related job losses. And even without COVID, the situation doesn't look that much better. Many of the great jobs from 10 to 15 years ago are getting obsolete. And AI, or automation, is automating a lot of those jobs away, millions of them. I know this because I personally worked on several of these technologies. So what should you do in this situation? Where should you go? What does one do to protect themselves from this imminent threat of losing your job to a pandemic or a recession or automation? To get some clues, let's take a look really quick on how people found work in the past. You see, for most of recorded history, people did just simply what their parents did. So if your father was a blacksmith, there's a good chance that you'd find yourself with some iron and a hammer. And if your mother was a seamstress, there's a good chance you'd find yourself with cloth and a few needles. These were the goods and the skills economies, and they lasted for thousands of years. But over the past few decades, we've entered into a new economy. You might have heard of it. It's called the knowledge economy. And there's a formula for success in this knowledge economy that's been packaged up as a new age mantra and popularized mostly by the West. It goes something like this. Tell me if you've heard it. Follow your passions. That's it. If you follow your passions, you'll be successful. A more advanced version of this goes something like this. Find the intersection between your passion, what the world needs, and something you're good at. To see how popular this is, take a look at this graph on how often follow your passion has been mentioned in books and magazines over the past 100 years. You can see that it's really over the past 2 decades that it got popular. And at the top of it, it seems like good advice, right? Find the intersection between those 3 things. That's your secret to success. That's your magic formula. But it's not great advice. So let's break it down to see why. Number 1, your passion. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you know what your passion is? Do you truly, deeply understand what you're passionate about? There's a good chance that you don't. And that's okay. Most people don't know what they're passionate about. There are over 90,000 books on Amazon on this topic. And if you go to my favorite place, which is the YouTube comment section, there are hundreds of TED Talks on this topic. And the comment section will tell you everything you need to know. Most people don't know what their passion is. So this advice isn't very good because it's not super helpful. Number 2, what the world needs. Well, the world needs a lot of different things. We need dentists to keep our teeth straight. We need botanists to grow plants. And we need artists to inspire us. The world needs a lot of different things. And even so, what the world needs keeps constantly changing. I mean, up until last year, it felt like we needed a lot of Instagram travel influencers. Not so much this year, right? So what the world needs keeps constantly changing. So this isn't very good advice because it's not too concrete. It's not specific. And the last one, something you're good at. Well, this one seems like good advice. This one makes sense. But the thing is, what you're good at is going to change dramatically over your life and over your career. You can always pick up new skills, and skills that you don't use will become defunct. So there you go. You have these 3 buckets that almost never intersect, and you're sitting squarely in the middle, confused, trying to figure out where to go, what to do, or who to call. You see, the problem with this advice is that it focuses on your juice. And how is juice made? By extracting all the resources from something, usually throwing away the most nutritious parts. It might give you a temporary boost, but in the long run, it'll leave you dry and drained. Also, juice is generic. It's everywhere. It's common. I mean, how many famous juice brands do you know? What you need is your secret sauce. I first heard about juice versus sauce from a viral YouTube video, and then more from my good friend Gabi Gibran in his own TEDx talk. You see, sauce is special. Sauce is made by combining your best ingredients in a special way. Sauce is unique. Sauce is you. So there you have it. Are you ready to build your own secret sauce? Are you ready for the recipe to start cooking? If so, take out a piece of paper and pen and let's get started. It's really pretty simple. There's only 3 steps. Step number 1, find what people are already coming to you for advice. When do your friends or colleagues ask for your opinion or your help? In my case, my friends have been asking me for personal finance advice forever. For you, that might be health advice or gardening or social media. My good friend Sonal, I always go to her for dating advice. It's probably why I'm still single. So ask yourself, when do people come to me for advice or opinion? That's step 1. Step 2, from the list in the previous step, narrow it down and write the things that you think you can teach today. That's right. I said things you can teach. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to be an expert to teach something. In fact, most experts aren't good teachers because they can't really relate to beginners. But ask yourself, what is it that you find yourself sharing or talking to with others? In my case, although I love personal finance, I really like teaching investing. In your case, that might be teaching how to make music or building bridges or making art. So you ask yourself, what do I find myself talking about the most? Step number 3, the final step. This is where you add your secret ingredient. This is what makes the special sauce. This is what makes the sauce unique. So write down a list of a few things that are novel, true, or interesting about you. Don't overthink it. It might be that you're funny or well-traveled or that you can draw. In my case, it's that I can speak Bengali, which is the 7th most spoken language in the world. So not particularly unique, but true and interesting. There you go. Now that you have your 3 ingredients, all you have to do is combine them and start stirring slowly. Keep in mind, you're making a sauce, not a salad, so it's not going to happen immediately. And you might have to adjust and tweak things. Maybe add some more salt or turn up the heat a bit. What this might mean is that you have to try new things and experiment with ideas and take action. Maybe build content or jump into a different project. If you're particularly uninspired at work, you might join somebody's side hustle or start your own. But If you keep stirring and if you keep adjusting, you will find that by the end of it, you will have a special sauce, a secret sauce that's unique to you. When I lost my job, I sat down to create my secret sauce. Step 1, people were already coming to me for personal finance. Step 2, I loved teaching about investing. And step 3, I could speak Bengali and had a little bit of experience building an e-learning platform. So I combined them all together, and when I started simmering them, I saw an idea bubble to the top. Keep in mind, none of those things are unique or interesting alone, but when you combine them, that's when the magic starts. My good friend Vedant and I sat down and we built sharecorridor.in, which is an online e-learning platform where we teach people all over the world in Bengali how to invest their money. In the past few months, we have delivered over 2.5 lakh hours of education and enrolled thousands of students on our platform. Even better, we've been able to hire 10 people who also lost their jobs during COVID. And the best part, the absolute best part, are the comments and the love we receive from our students every day, telling us how happy they are that they can learn something new in their own language. Companies all over the world are finding their secret sauce and changing. You have event management companies that are going digital. You have tuition teachers that are starting online schools and seeing 400% user growth. I was also able to find my secret sauce and escape and bounce back from only squeezing juice out of myself. And guess what? The best part is the technology is here to help you. We have amazing technology being invented every single day. Medical technology that helps us test vaccines faster. We have learning technologies, a lot of which is free, connecting students and teachers in brand new ways. And communication technology, like this platform that we are on, that helps people find each other all over the world. But the technology only works if the people using it are inspired. So don't waste your time trying to squeeze the juice out of yourself. I hope you will take the time to start creating your own secret sauce today. So before another man comes up to you and says, you will lose your job in the next 5 years, you can turn around and say, that's okay, because I make my own sauce. Thank you.